Hello, I am Alon Burstein. I am a visiting assistant professor in the Department of Political Science and an Israel Institute Fellow at the University of California, Irvine, and I am here to give you the updates in the last 24 hours of the Israel-Hamas war. It is currently the eve of October 16th, 2023 in the United States, the morning of October 17th, 2023 in the Middle East, and I remind everyone that there are links to the previous summaries below in the comments if you are interested. So, today, Hamas released for the first time a video of one of the Israeli hostages that are being held. A 1.5-minute video of an Israeli captive with dual Israeli and French citizenship was released. The woman is seen having her wounds treated, having her arm treated medically, and later when she's speaking in the video, she states that in Hamas's initial attack, she was badly injured in her arm, that Hamas immediately took her to receive medical attention. She says she is 21 years old and was at the rave party when she was kidnapped. She says that she's been receiving good medical attention and being treated in a very humane way and hopes that she can return home soon. In addition, Hamas's El-Qassam brigades announced today that the group is holding upwards of 200 Israeli captives in the Gaza Strip and that there are a total of 200 to 250 Israeli captives in the Gaza Strip. Presumably the rest are held by the Palestinian Islamic Jihad. The group's former leader, Khalid Mashal, stated today that the group has enough Israeli captives to secure the release of all Palestinian prisoners in Israel. This is about 10,000 Palestinians that are held in Israeli jails. In addition, the Al-Qassam Brigade announced that it is distinguishing between Israeli citizens that have been captured and Israeli soldiers that were captured, and stated that they're captives with dual nationality, that is, if people are Israeli and French citizens or Israeli and U.S. citizens, etc., are not treated in the same way either, that these people are seen as guests and that they will be released as soon as circumstances allow it. It is speculated that what Hamas intends to do is possibly arrange negotiate for the release of people with dual nationality before negotiating the release of Palestinian prisoners, that this will perhaps be in exchange for humanitarian aid coming into Gaza, Israel halting its retaliation, or something like that. Moving on to the ongoing fighting. There were continuous rockets and missiles today launched from the Gaza Strip towards the entire southern area of Israel and into the heart of the country. There were missiles into Modi'in and Ashdod and Ashkelon, rockets to Sderot and Beersheva, Gush Dan, Tel Aviv, and significantly there was a missile attack sent towards Jerusalem. This is significant specifically because Hamas does not usually target Jerusalem. It's very careful with its targeting of Jerusalem for fear of hitting holy sites. One of the reasons it targeted Jerusalem today was that the Knesset, the Israeli parliament, returned today after being on vacation for the Jewish holidays and then suspended for the war. It has now returned, and in its opening ceremony was when the missiles were fired. So all of the Israeli parliamentarians had to evacuate 2 bomb shelters. In Israeli retaliations in the Gaza Strip, these are currently still bombings from the sky. 2,778 Palestinians are reported killed, according to the Palestinian Ministry of Health, and 9,938 are reported wounded. According to the Palestinian Ministry of Health, of those killed, roughly 800 to 900 are children. In addition, in Israel's retaliations, the IDF assassinated today Hamas's general intelligence commander in Gaza, the head of Hamas's Shura Council, and a member of Hamas's political bureau. This is significant because this is somewhat indicative of a policy change in Israel. In the past, Israel has avoided targeting senior members of Hamas and for fears of possible further escalations. Right now, Israel is trying to signal all bets are off. Any leader in Hamas is a target. Moving down south, the Rafah crossing, that is the border between Egypt and the Gaza Strip, was open today for several hours. This is after negotiations that were reported yesterday between the United States, Egypt, and Israel. The Rafah crossing was open, and trucks carrying food and medicines were allowed in. No fuel trucks were allowed to come in. Israel did not permit that and said that those trucks would not receive immunity because, according to Israel, the fuel would not end up in the hospitals where it needs to end up. It is being given to Hamas to run the generators that Hamas needs for its military operations. Related to that, UNRWA, the UN relief agency focusing on Palestinians, has a lot of operations in the Gaza Strip, stated today that a group of people claiming to be from the Gazan Health Ministry confiscated fuel and medicines from their headquarters. In its initial announcement, UNRWA seemed to accuse Hamas of stealing fuel. Significantly, several hours later, that post blaming Hamas was deleted from the UNRWA site. In addition, it was reported today that under U.S. brokerage, humanitarian aid may soon be allowed to enter Gaza. The U.S. is pressuring Israel heavily to open humanitarian corridors into the Gaza Strip. In light of this, dozens of trucks that are waiting in Sinai on the Egyptian side were seen moving towards the Rafah crossings. So again, no deal has of yet been negotiated, but that does indicate that, at least diplomatically, those who are in charge of humanitarian aid foresee that a deal will come up soon to allow humanitarian aid to flow into the Gaza Strip. Moving on to the West Bank, Israel is continuing to target Hamas activists in the West Bank as well. There were 40 Palestinians arrested throughout the West Bank. 20 of them are Hamas members, and there was one Palestinian today in the West Bank that was killed by the IDF. Moving on to the north of Israel. As I report every day, there are continued low-level escalations between Israel and Hezbollah. Hezbollah is so far still restraining itself and not throwing its weight into the conflict, but is making sure to harass the IDF constantly and keep reminding it and sort of signaling to the Palestinians also that Hezbollah may enter the fray at any time. So today the IDF retaliated against Hamas targets deep in Lebanon after there was gunfire against the IDF forces on the border. In addition, the Prime Minister of Lebanon, Najib Mikati, today again stated that he is working very hard to keep Lebanon out of the escalation. So while everyone is worried that Iran will activate Hezbollah in order to enter the fray, the Prime Minister of Lebanon is working behind the scenes to try to stop this. Related to that, in a very rare move today, the Lebanese army announced that it uncovered 20 rocket launchers, presumably of Hezbollah, the name of the group was not stated, and that 4 of them were already armed and ready to be launched. This is a rarity. The Lebanese army does not like to collide with Hezbollah, and the fact that not only this happened, but it was publicly announced, is part of the Lebanese government's efforts to show Israel, we are trying to contain Hezbollah. Please do not do anything that may force Hezbollah, quote unquote, to join into the conflict. In addition, there are reports that Netanyahu vetoed the idea of a preemptive attack against Hezbollah in his cabinet. However, in anticipation of possible escalations, Israel evacuated all Israeli towns within 2 kilometers, that's about 1 mile, a little more, from the border in Lebanon. So all Israelis in those towns have been pulled back. And Canada today called on all its citizens in Lebanon to leave as soon as possible, as long as commercial flights are still allowed to fly. Now moving on to some of the political updates that have been going on. There was a lot of diplomacy that happened in the last 24 hours. Firstly, Russian President Putin spoke with Prime Minister Netanyahu for the first time since the war began. This was after he had spoken with the presidents of Syria and Iran, and Putin stated that he told Netanyahu that the Kremlin would be very happy to help end the conflict peacefully. In addition, Iranian Foreign Minister today announced that countermeasures from Iran are expected soon. Iran is trying very hard to show that they have the ability to ignite the Middle East if they want to, and using this as a pressure valve against Israel, saying, do not invade Gaza, do not continue your bombardments against Gaza. You may have issues with many other fronts as well. Now, it was reported after yesterday was rumored that President Biden in the United States is going to visit Israel on Wednesday. So this was after having many, many conversations with Prime Minister Netanyahu. Biden is actually coming to the region. From Israel, he will travel to Jordan. There he's going to meet with the King of Jordan, with the President of Egypt, and with the Chairman of the Palestinian Authority. In addition to that, the United States is sending 2,000 Marines to Israeli shores to bolster its military presence in the area. This already comes on top of 2 aircraft carriers that the United States has sent to the area. They're now sending 2,000 Marines. All of this is to be a show of force against Iran, against Hezbollah, all showing that if a regional war erupts, the United States is prepared to fight in that war as well. In addition to that, the German Chancellor Scholz announced that he will visit Israel to show solidarity soon, possibly even tomorrow, and the EU called upon Hamas to release all prisoners without any conditions. The United Kingdom today also stated that 5 of its citizens were killed in the initial attack, and in other diplomatic developments, Norway and Iceland declared that they will add Hamas to the list of terror organizations, and the Philippines is also advancing a similar declaration. In turn, 2 ministers in Spain criticized Israel for its retaliations, with one minister calling upon Spain to bring Netanyahu before the International Court of Justice on the charges of war crimes and attempted genocide against the Palestinian people. And finally, while UK Prime Minister has been often speaking at different Jewish events and showing a lot of solidarity with Israel, Jeremy Corbyn, the former leader of the Labour Party in the United Kingdom, stated recently that the events of October 7th deal with justice for the Palestinian people. Those are our updates for the last 24 hours, and I will be back tomorrow.